world where equality is just another euphemism for mediocrity, where participation is more highly valued than achievement, where just enough to get by is the new standard of excellence. There is a small minority of people who fight back against such apathy, who struggle daily to reach new heights. These brave few are the hope for the future, the bright shining light for the next generation. They are the ones who will lead us to the places we have never dreamed of, to the undiscovered country, to reach goals only a few can even begin to imagine. Unfortunately, none of those people could be here tonight, so kick back and relax. Prepare yourself for several hours of fun, friendship, fascinating conversation, and fabulous music. All those F's, that's an alliteration and kind of a radio trick. Speaking of radio, you're listening to the most popular radio station in the history of broadcast radio, at least among stations that originate from Chris's living room. It's Curious Times. Your host is a curious listener. Here she is, Chris.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you, and welcome to Curious Times. It's Wednesday night. Wacky Wednesday, I used to call it back in the old days, Wacky Wednesday. And it's June 6th, so we have Barbara DeLong today. Most of you guys recall that we're, with Barbara, we're going to do a special one-time-a-year readings. And that's it. And the rest of the time we're going to talk about cool stuff. And I usually haven't a clue what we're going to talk about, but it's always cool. Always a learning experience when Barbara DeLong is here. And just so that you remember now, I don't know, I have to get in touch with Corrine and see if we can do maybe a round table or just a fun, silly show at her place, maybe one or two of these next 5 nights. I have nothing else scheduled because Selva can't be here on Friday, and I had everything else open already. So it's a 5-day stretch, but this is going to allow Jenny to bring the site down and bring the sound end of the site down and bring whatever, all these changes she's been working so hard on to add to IntuiTalks. And so I'm waiting. I haven't any idea what these changes are. So I'm anxious to see, and of course very much appreciate all of Jenny's hard work. She, again, is a one-person show here at IntuiTalks, and it's just a little like hobby, really. She does a full-time, she's running a business, she does all kinds of, and has a life. And so I don't know how she does it, but she has managed very well here. So keeping us going, and this very unique platform, trying to continue to bring improvements to it. So having said all of that, Barbara's here, of course. We all know Barbara from her own radio show that's been running for many years called Nightlight. It's on Blogtalk Radio. And you can just go Google that, you know what I mean? But you can find it at blogtalkradio.com/night-light. And check it out. She's got a plethora of archives there, I'm sure, and as well on her YouTube channel. And she has, which I don't apparently have here, but I do have it here. And so I have it on the show page description. And so her YouTube is PO Box 270, P.O. Box 270, YouTube.com. I think you can just you can just punch in Barbara DeLong into the search bar there. Anyway, BarbaraDeLong.com. If all else fails, you can find everything that you need to there and then some, and you can get lost in space for a week, checking out all the very cool stuff and really, really interesting research and information that she has on there. It's amazing. It's amazing. And so I really do encourage people to go and check out Barbara's site. And she is, of course, also the author of a book called Whispers of Spiritual Wisdom, and she made her own oracle deck called the Cosmic Deck of Initiation, which I happen to be the proud owner of. But the unique thing, of course, with this deck, which I really like that. Like when I first, I still remember, I can still remember when Barbara was first on the show that she was on, and I first heard about these, and I'm not sure if she was debuting them that day or not, but these are her. They all have mandalas on them, and it's round, and I love round. You know what I mean? Of course, that's the Aboriginal in me, and everything is a circle, and squares you get boxed in, and blah 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 blah, and so like just so much symbology in my mind that is better with circles. And so there you go. You can find both of those items, the book and the Oracle deck, on Amazon. And so once you get to Amazon, just punch in Barbara DeLong, and you'll find her stuff there. So let's just go get Barbara and find out how's your summer going so far?
Well, aside from the fact that I got hit by a tornado, I'm really fine.
Oh no! When did that happen?
I'm getting feedback here, Chris.
Ah, shit. Well, that's because you have the show on. You're in the chat room with the sound on. Click on you see the headset in the upper left hand? There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. I got hit by a tornado. Nope, I'm still hearing it.
Did you happen? I can't help you then. Well, I mean, I'll mute myself and see if that fixes it.
Okay, so, it does help, Chris, if you don't talk. Alrighty, so, I got hit by a tornado, which was absolutely phenomenal. I've never seen anything like it, and it was the most exciting thing I've ever experienced. It was just incredible. And the sky got dark. It was darker than night. The rain came down sideways. There was hail the size of golf balls. A train went by, and 3 or 4 of my huge oak trees went down.
Can I clarify? Did the train go by on the tracks or in the air?
In the air. Now this sounds fine. Put yourself back on.
I am on. Can't you hear me?
I can hear you, but I'm not hearing me. So whatever happened. So
I just wondered, did you get the license plate number of that tornado that hit you?
Oh gosh, it was really the most incredible thing ever. And these trees that went down were like a couple 100 feet tall. They fell into the dirt road right next to my house. They took my fence out, and it was.
You got firewood for years to come now.
Oh, yeah, except I don't have a fireplace to burn it in. It's great wood too. It's red oak and it's white oak. But I did find somebody who wanted free firewood, so he's happily chopping away at the wood, and hopefully when the electric company came through to fix the lines, they had to cut a lot of it up, but they just threw it all over the place. So I have a lot of firewood here that is just thrown all over the place, and I got bids from people to clear it up for me, and it went from $3,000 to $5,000, which is not going to happen. So it's been an adventure for sure. We were without power for 5 days, and tornadoes hit all over the state of Connecticut. They were just it was amazing. So that was my real excitement. It was I love storms, and this one was quite a storm. I mean, it twisted the trees so that it's like if you've ever had a big loaf of bread and you twist it so it fragments and then it comes apart. That's what happened to the trees. They were literally twisted either right out of the ground, or they were twisted till they broke and then they crashed into whatever was close. It was so cool.
Yeah. Well, and I have, we had this huge tornado in 1987, and we hadn't been, a tornado destination. We hadn't been so trained, you know what I mean? And I was like you, like, well, I don't know, like more like when I first noticed the swirling, I was out of the peripheral vision of me. Like I went out on the deck and I'm out there like looking in awe. Like once I saw it, I was just like struck in awe.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't smart enough to get the hell, anywhere but stand there looking. And like 5 blocks away, houses were being, smashed, right? And,
yeah, somebody in the chat room called it a beautiful disaster. It was, and the only sad thing is, I live really in the woods, and so now I'm getting the feedback again.
Yeah, I'll have to give me a minute. I'm not on that page, and I'll have to. So now, as long as you don't talk, you won't have feedback.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you want me talking. You don't want to have to talk the whole 2 hours without somebody to talk to.
Give me one moment.
Sure.
Going to show you just a mini example. This was just like we were sort of on the. I was at a friend's acreage, and in a nearby town there was a nasty tornado happening, and there was like a summer festival going on at the time, and the whole stage got mangled and ripped and everything like this. And so, as far away as we were, we had extremely heavy winds and everything like that. And so we're over there playing darts. This friend of mine, they have this beautiful setup, and they've got this garage, but they've kind of converted their garage into they got these huge pop vending machines that we put our beer in, and then they got couches and that, and they have the dartboard and everything like that in the garage all set up. And so on nice days, the garage doors open, we're just enjoying playing darts, and then in the wintertime or cold, door can come down and we can still play darts and have fun. And so anyways, we're there, and suddenly the storm is coming nasty hard, and QRST. And so anyways, kaboom, there goes a tree down, and it comes down right in the right across the road that I would need to take to leave their property. So I got stuck helping to chop this. Now this is a small tree in comparison to what you're talking about, but I'll just show you guys the picture. Good old days. I got a scar that day too. And so I had no choice but to help. Because I had no way to get home.
Wow.
And so you could see it's as high as tall as we were. You know what I mean? As tall as these people are, as much trees as fell. But these are quite small trees compared to what we're talking about. And so that was a lot of labor. And you just reminded me of that when you said the tree.
I'm wondering if this. No, I keep hearing me on and off. I don't know if it. Should I call back in and see if it's me?
I mean, you can try. I'm back to wondering if something's still wrong with my own sound settings. Then, can someone else? Okay, you call back, and in the meanwhile, can someone else? Okay. You call back, and if someone else can. I would like if someone else could call in somehow and just test this and see if you're also getting the feedback. I mean, every now and then that happens, but it's not like it's happening a lot now all of a sudden. And so I'm trying to figure out if somebody could call so that we can find out if it's for everybody or just Barbara, so that would help me zero in on what you did what we do on the South during tornado season. What did go stand there in awe watching it, like you're not supposed to do, like you're supposed to go and find some sort of safety basement or bathtub or something like that. Instead we're just standing there waiting for, maybe we're hoping that it'll scoop us up and take us to the wonderful Wizard of Oz or whatever, to the yellow brick road or something like that. So we're kind of waiting for, I wish that I had Corrine or Amy or somebody here that could, cause I'd like to find out if it's just Barbara. What I might do is just bring Barbara in on Skype if it continues. If she continues to have that problem, I will do that. Perplexing. Oh my gosh, I was just having crazy fits and I was like, oh man, if I can't get this fixed by tonight, trying to call for you now. Excellent, thank you. Anonymous person. It's the person who's not to be named and whose initials are not allowed to be said either. BB. It's BB. BB, BB. BB, BB. Beep, beep, beep. His horn went beep, beep, beep. Now he's going 110 as fast as he can go. Okay. What's going on? How's it going?
You're a hoot. You are a hoot.
Hey, BB. It's BB. BB, the mystery caller.
You don't have to do that when we're talking right here. It's just because it's public and there's just a few people I'm not wanting to see certain things right now. So.
Okay, so right now you're not hearing echo, but now the chat room's hearing echo.
No, I hear no echo.
Okay. Now, anonymous person, if that's you, Barbara, can you press on your phone? Good Lord. Good Lord. Lordy, lordy. Okay, that might not be. It might be Queen or something. Whoever that is that just called in on anonymous, press 1 on your phone. Whoever. It don't matter to me. Okay, no, I don't mean you. Okay, Barbara's there now. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm wondering who the anonymous person is.
Oh, that was me trying to call in on Skype.
Oh, okay. Well, you're still there, it would appear. I was going to say, if this continues, then what I might do is try and just add you to my Skype call, and that might clear it up for you. So we'll see. We'll let it run for a little bit and see if it's happening again or what. Okay?
Yeah. No, this feels fine.
Okay. Well, it was feeling good for a minute, and then not so, and then a minute. So,
yeah.
So,
that's really strange. But anyhow, it was a great storm, and I think the saddest thing is that I live in the middle of the woods, and I mean the devastation to the woods, to the trees was just amazing and very, very, very sad. And it was kind of like about 5 or 6 years ago we had an ice storm, and it was in October, and I can remember listening at night to the trees crack and go thud and crack and go thud, and this is the same kind of devastation. You know, you just hate to see forests destroyed like this. It's so sad.
But again, you have to say, I would rather see it that way than by fire. And although that there is, when a fire pulls through, then that, that is a renewal, and everything like this too. And so everything in, that's happening in nature like that. No, we're good, BB. Thank you for, testing us. Thank you for helping me out. I appreciate that. I had someone else call in while we were waiting for you so that I could see if they were having the same problem. And then when that person came on, the chat room heard echo for a moment, and I'm all
you can't win.
I just been going. Well, 2 weeks ago, on a Tuesday, I had, I don't know if my computer crashed or if I deliberately rebooted it. I don't reboot my computer very often, and so it's good to do that every now and then. So when I came on the show the next day, my sound was all messed up. And so then when that's happened in the past, usually if I reboot again, it comes back and it's all okay. And so I had Lisa there, and I'm like, okay, Lisa, just talk and all. Because nothing I was doing was helping. And so then all of a sudden, it's not working. I rebooted 3 times, it's not working. So then I'm going behind, and everything's very tight here. I don't have a big living room at all. And so everything is so tight here. So if I need to get behind anything, it's acrobatic, type moves that I have to do anything. And so I get the bright idea to try and check wires and this and that. and my back went out on me right down in there, boom, to the ground. And like a half an hour, like it's just that where everything, the muscle seize up around the SI joint to protect it, and so that any movement you make at all is the most excruciating thing that there is, you know. And so I never made it back to the show, and I was just like, so then yesterday I'm sitting here minding my own business, you know how I like to do that, and all of a sudden the freaking power goes out. It's like 12:30 or something like this in the afternoon, and so I phone because it doesn't come right back on, and find that they had like a pre-scheduled power, what do you call it, maintenance for the whole area, and they would come back on at 4:30. I'm like, would you people bother sending a note to anyone so they can like get some food set aside or a jug of coffee or something like that, you know? And so that of course caused my computer to go down, in which case when it rebooted it did updates. And so here it is Tuesday again, 2 weeks to the day, and I come on to do the show and my sound is swooped, and I'm all like, oh my god, I cannot do this to Lisa again. And so I did some quick stuff and canceled all my mixer stuff and just went with a microphone, you know what I mean? And it wasn't good because I had some bad settings there, but I didn't abandon her this time because I go, the last thing I'm going to do is that for 2 weeks or 2 shows in a row, you know?
Well, I had a great show scheduled with a guy. Oh God, I'm talking to myself now. How can I do this?
Does that mean you have echo again?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna pull you in on my Skype call and let's see if that fixes it, okay?
Okay, great. I'll hang up.
Okay. All right, you guys, stand by. Unbelievable. One ringy dingy. Yes. Hello. Hello. Are you there? Hello.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I can't hear you.
Oh, no. Can you guys hear her? You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
Barbara.
Let me see. Speakers. Options.
Oh, my God.
Hold on. I'm looking for sound. Audio settings. Microphone is great. Speakers aren't. Wait a minute. Oh, that would help. Talk again.
Oh.
I hear you.
Okay, Jesus, Barbara. I'm like, what? No, what have I done? I was just about to start doing all my freaking settings and everything.
No, it was my setting, not yours. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I was just about to start changing stuff again, which would have like sent me into the rabbit hole all over again. And I just like, today I was almost ready to give up, but it almost is impossible for me to give up because I'm just that crazy. And like, I just can't let something like that, like, beat me, you know what I mean? And so.
Oh yeah. And, you know, I will, you know, if something is just crazy and I have to walk away from it, even if I go to bed, I'm thinking about what could I do differently.
Right.
And you know, and then it'll end up at 3-4 in the morning. I'm up trying something different, but it hopefully things will be good now. Hopefully.
It will. And so like that's it. Like even when I was like I've been looking for something. Oh, my hair is all. I have just a little teeny little plastic zip, little teeny plastic bag that has some very, very small, like grommets, I guess is what they call them. I'll show you what I mean. Just like these. Just like
wow.
Little things like this. And so, and I cannot, and I had it, you know, and it was like, and it's where you go like, okay, I remember I was doing, I think it was overtime one night or something, and, you know, people were yakking on, and I was building a coil for my e-cigarette, and that's what I use in there. That's the thing that prevents it from shorting and blah, blah, blah. And so I remember, like, having it and must have put it so, and I cannot find it for the life of me.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was driving myself crazy because then I would, like, give up and then try to go sit and do something else. And then, like, 2 minutes later, I'm up again. You know what I mean? And because I'm like, oh, it's here somewhere. And I still have not found it.
Well, I think there's a huge conspiracy out there because I had a great guest on my show scheduled, and he wrote a book about the U.S. government and all of the stuff that's going on and you know, going back in time, even to when with extraterrestrials and stuff. It was a book that was it's called A Shining City on a Hill, and Amazon had it on, and Amazon took it off of the United States. And so in order to get the book, I had to go to India. Well, I didn't go. I had to send to India for the book. I got the book. I read the book. Great book. Really, the information was phenomenal. And I was all set to do the show with him. I had notes up the wazoo. I was ready to go. I was just so excited. It was unbelievable. I couldn't get onto Blogtalk. I couldn't get into the studio.
Oh.
I was prevented like crazy. And this guy was in, where was he? I think he was in India. And we had figured the time out, and, you know, I called him on Skype ahead of time, and we had everything set up, and everything was just perfect. I couldn't get into the switchboard. I couldn't get in. And when I got into the switchboard, I was prevented from doing the show. Wow. And I finally called him and said, you know, I don't understand this. I've never had this problem before. And my only thought is that your material is controversial, but cool. And, it was the most frustrating thing ever. And the next show went fine. You know, I just couldn't get this guy on the air. And
that guy that you tried to tape, remember you had one and you like did a Skype and the tape that you pre-recorded it and it just like didn't turn out well?
Well, that's because that man did not have a headset on.
Ah.
And so you couldn't hear him. You could hear me, fine. I was fine. But you couldn't hear him. And, yeah, that was a disappointing show too. Yeah, I've lost a couple of really, really good interviews because of stupidity like that. But I'm beginning to think that, you know, in a way that, when I get close to governmental stuff, you know, suddenly I can't get onto my radio show or something goes kaputty and, cause I know that my dad worked for the FBI, and I know that he did a lot of stuff where his security clearance, even though they were divorced, they were still following my mother and us. And then Patrick was not exactly, you know, the choir boy around. He was under all sorts of investigations because of what he did. So I'm just thinking that you know, I was just prevented. So the book, if you go to my website and you go to I recommend and you go to the book section, the book is there and the place where you can get it. If you're curious about a lot of the stuff that's going on under the radar, I mean, we're talking, you know, deep government, we're talking MK-12, we're talking even some extraterrestrial stuff. It's all in the book, and it's well written, and it's been well reviewed everywhere. So that and Amazon has it, but it says it's not available right now. They're not going to distribute the damn book, but it's just such a cool book to read because it talks about how when the Federal Reserve was created, it created the vehicle for the mob and for these rich politicians to get in there and start to manipulate the government, and talks about who was backing what politicians and the power stuff that went on, and it goes all the way back to Eisenhower and a little before, and it tells you just who's backing which politicians, and then it goes into all of the backing and forthing and the things that we don't really hear that much about. So for me, it was an incredible book to read. Every now and then, and he did have to change some names to protect the innocent, so to speak, but the information, the fact that there's been so much subterfuge that quite basically everybody in the Northern Hemisphere has been lied to all over the place, that we really don't know what is really going on. And the government keeps us dumbed down on purpose. And, I know Patrick's show was under attack quite a bit. Now, he was very much for Obama, and he did 12 and 13 hours a day on supporting Obama when he ran the first time. And he even got a letter from Michelle Obama thanking him for all of his support, and Obama was supposed to be on his show, but it was prevented. So I just think it's guilt by association, because I'm a sweet little thing, I'm not going to step in anything.
It all goes back, Barbara. You've been tainted ever since you saw the UFO.
I think you're right. Yeah. And so the show tomorrow night, I'm really looking forward to. It's tomorrow afternoon. The guy's name is Ernie Bringus. And for those of you who are my age and older, if you can remember to when Beach Boys and stuff like that, to a song called Little Cobra, Ernie was in this group. He and this other guy were the Riptides.
Oh yeah.
And he was quite famous. And he's an amazing character. He started recording, and they had a couple of hits. And so at one point it wasn't going as far as he would like. So he actually signed up to go to seminary, and then it became a conflict of interest, because going to seminary was in conflict kind of with the kind of music that he was playing, but he got a special dispensation so that he was able to do the music and do seminary, and after seminary and the group kind of broke up, but at one point he and this other guy were the original Riptides, and then Harry Melcher, it was Doris Day's son, actually sang backup, and he sang backup on a lot of the other albums that are out there. So he has this wonderful career in music, and he's written a book, and he graduated seminary, he served in churches, he now teaches theology in a couple of colleges, but he's written a book called Jesus Gate.
Jesus Gate?
Jesus Gate.
That sounds like a scandal that Jesus was embroiled in or something.
Well, no, it goes into the fact that along with the government and stuff like that, not telling us everything, that the general public, religiously speaking, is really, they haven't given us any new information since about the 1700s. And the fact that the church knows stuff that they aren't sharing, because that will change the whole story of the religion that was created. So it's a cool book. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's good. So what time is that on tomorrow? 4 p.m. Eastern or what?
6 o'clock Eastern.
6 Eastern, blogtalkradio.com/night-light. Guys can check the show page and the live room, because they're all popping in there for the chat room for you guys, and you can bookmark it if you want. And
it'll be on YouTube too, because all the shows do go onto YouTube. Yeah, matter of fact, the one show we did where we really got into cool stuff, that's up there and it's archiving very nicely also.
Cool. Very good, very good. Has that guy, the guy that you said that from India or whatever, was he ever on any other show that's out there on the internet for people to listen to?
No.
Jeez.
And his material was so good. Jeannie, who has been my producer since the beginning of time, she doesn't read big books. She just won't do it. But I begged her, and she is reading, because she's not a political fanatic, but she does research stuff. And I said to her, just do the best you can, because I want you to double check some of this material, because it's phenomenal. The politicians are either backed by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the House of Windsor, or by Koch brothers, or the mob.
Yeah.
And so it's I don't usually recommend books, but this one I do recommend. And if you can get it, I would read it, because it had such great information in it, and it went into some of the extraterrestrial stuff too. That
would be stuff I would be more interested in. I'm so tired of the government conspiracy shit, really, to be honest, and it drives me insane. But the stuff, and I realize that a lot of the extraterrestrial stuff is government conspiracy stuff too, but it's different.
Yeah, but it really is kind of fascinating, because what he went into was the fact that at the end of the war, both the Russians and the U.S. government were very well aware that Hitler had escaped.
Well, there was that whole show, Hunting Hitler, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've gone into a lot of that too. Did you watch that series?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course you did. Of course you did. You're no slacker. You're onto all that stuff. Did you see this new guy? I don't know what it's called. He Did It, or blah blah. And this guy is like going on about all the crimes that he believes that oh my God, who's the guy?
Need a little more than that.
Oh, I know. I'm having a hard time. Like, not the tarot killer, but like, there was a guy. Do you see the one I mean? Like, it's like a big mystery, that one. Anyway, he's tying him into the Black Dahlia, and he's tying him in, like, the...
Son of Sam?
No.
The only conspiracy I can think, serial killer I can think of.
And they're tying this guy to, like, this guy's murders went all the way back. And let me get, Zodiac Killer. Okay, so the Zodiac Killer, and this guy has like got a whole series where he's tying this guy, the Zodiac Killer, to a whole crap load of other murders that he believes the Zodiac Killer has brilliantly framed people. And one of them was that, one of the ones he claims is the guy that murdered his pregnant wife.
Peterson?
Then there's the guy Avery that's sitting in jail. And in fact, in that Avery one, this one's kind of creepy, because in the Avery trial, there's a picture that's out there of the prosecutor being interviewed, and in the background is a guy that looks eerily like this guy that they think is the Zodiac Killer. This saying, this man here is the Zodiac. And And so they're running a whole series. Let's see, Zodiac Killer series. Let's see, Zodiac Killer series. It's called. Okay, let me see. That's not the one. He did it. He did it. Zodiac Killer. See if that'll get me there. Hunt for California Murderer. Come on now. It was just on yesterday, or I could look it up on my stupid. I'll try and find it during a break.
Okay.
And so anyhow, this guy has this whole series going on, and he's tying them like other murder. Oh, and he thinks that this guy is the guy that did Jean Benet Ramsey.
Oh, they were exhuming her body. So yeah, that is definitely not.
Oh.
Wow.
So anyhow, like that's quite the. And some of it is could be a stretch, but doesn't mean that he didn't do any of them.
Yeah.
So many eerie similarities, like with that Avery case, there was, the Zodiac Killer had a thing about the Halloween season, and so then this murder happened then, and the Zodiac Killer, there was just so much, I'll try and get the name of the series, and you can try and find out if you can access.
Yeah, I'll definitely be interested in looking.
Yeah.
So
what we have is the grandson. I believe the grandson of the guy he thinks is the Zodiac Killer, and so they're kind of like trying to prove that this guy is the Zodiac Killer, but then secondarily that the Zodiac Killer is responsible for more than just those crimes that were originally associated with the Zodiac Killer.
Wow.
And went on to perpetrate so many more murders across the country. So yeah, I'll try and. I
hate to say this, but I'm hearing myself.
I don't understand.
I don't either. Wait a minute, it's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very weird. Well, there are so many of those shows out there that are now digging into and trying to find the truth to them. But this book that I was talking about, this The Shining City on the Hill by Comey does something. It's in my books that I recommend. And now it's gone. I'm fine. I'm not talking to myself. But he also talked about the Antarctic and how the Germans they had the underground, a couple of miles underground, they had found ancient alien cities, and that they had there was material there was all sorts of stuff there, and that was one of the places that they were thinking of taking Hitler. And the Antarctic bases it is something that I've found in other places, other sites and things that they do talk about the fact that the Russians did have a lot of stuff going on in the Antarctic. It was all underground, and the U.S. says, "Oh, we went and we destroyed all of them," but they did not. And when I forget who it was, but Admiral Berg, there was a whole southern, I think at the end of World War II, maybe, there was a whole fleet that went to the Antarctic to try to wipe, these guys out, and they were attacked by saucers, and so basically, what you're left to believe or to think is that a lot of the saucers and the unidentified flying objects that we see are really. Oh, here's another thing that came out in that book, that in 1941, when they had the Battle of Los Angeles, are you familiar with what that was? It was during the war, and these saucers were over Los Angeles and they attacked them, and our bombs and everything just bounced right off of them. Apparently,
I heard that. Yes, I heard something about.
And so apparently 2 of the saucers went down actually, and the Army got one and the Navy got the other one, and that started a competition for reverse engineering. But ahead of us, because they had found down saucers of their own, were the Germans. And they had they were ahead of us with reverse engineering, but not just reverse engineering. Also time travel, and also, a different propulsion system and everything. So a lot of the UFOs that have been spotted are really, they're ours or the Navy's or Russian ones. And according to stuff that I have read, there actually is, a secret space program that is already out there that is more or less international, and and now I'm just quoting what I've read. I'm not sure I believe it, but I'm just telling you it's for those who serve. They signed up for 20 years. They served the 20 years. They are age regressed back to the time that they went in, and they then take up their life. They go back in time and they live their life having already served. Their minds are kind of wiped to the point where they don't have memory of it. But there is a guy, and his name is Goody, Goode, I think. And he has testified before Congress. He's testified all over the place. He's, I'm not saying he's an absolute, I don't think he's crazy, but it's hard to swallow all the stuff that is shared. And they say that that Trump is going to be able to give a fuller disclosure of our technology and what we have that they are not sharing with the general public. And if even a fraction of all of this material that I've been reading, even a fraction of it is true, 2 things will happen. One, everybody will be thrilled with all of the new information, and then they'll be mad as hell that it's been kept from them. So it was him.
Many murders of Ed Edwards. So this guy's trying to show that Ed Edwards is the Zodiac killer, but then secondarily that Ed Edwards also did the Atlanta child murders, did Lacey Peterson, the John Bonet, like I say, the Avery thing, Teresa Hallback, and others. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so some of it might be right, but probably not all. And but I'll tell you what, on that Avery, there's something that stinks to high heaven about that. And I did see and I do appreciate that the Netflix series concerning the Teresa Hallback and Stephen Avery situation, that's a one-sided, you know what I mean, thing. But
yeah.
But there's still a lot there that gives me, reasonable doubt. And so now to say that there's actually a real picture that was in the newspaper or whatever, the CT, and in the background is a picture that looks alarmingly like this Ed Edwards guy. And he used to always he was at he thinks he has another picture, and it was a murder of a child, I believe. And there was a picture taken of, I think, like the family, a member of the family of this child at the grave site.
Yeah.
And in the background, he's almost like photobombs his own crimes is kind of what the theory is there. You know what I mean?
Well, they say that a lot of people like that actually do turn up. It's like people who set fires, are often caught in the crowds watching the fire go and stuff.
Well, anyway, it's if nothing else, it's like interesting, and the guy died this Edwards guy died in 2011, but he also left a manuscript or whatever. What do you call it's not a manuscript, but like his memoirs or whatever like that.
A diary, like a diary?
Kind of like memoirs or whatever. And so, he's pulling a lot of stuff out of there and like, all kinds of crazy wacko stuff. And so, like, it's stuff that makes you go, and, I enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit wacky, but hey, sometimes it's the wacky stuff, like the wackier, you know what I mean? Then no one will believe that, right? So make it as wacky as you can, and nobody will believe it, and therefore you get away with it. So, who knows? But any mystery, you know what I mean? And anything related to true crime, kind of gets my attention as well, because I always worry, like, if somebody's rotting in jail for something they really didn't do, that disturbs me,
Oh, yeah.
We know that there's been many cases of, DAs that, like, totally railroad people in, and, 25 years later, you find the suppressed evidence and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff, and so, deeply disturbing, but, so look, let's take a song break, and then we'll figure out what we'll do with our last hour. How's that?
Sounds good.
Okey-dokey. So now, if you want to mute yourself, you have to use your Skype thing to mute your mic in the Skype window.
Got it.
Looks Are you looking for a place to meet like-minded people? Perhaps you're a light worker looking for a safe place to share your thoughts and services. We've got a place for you. IntuiTalks.com. Join for free, post updates, blogs, create and join groups via website or radio or class package. The possibilities are endless. Join the all-spiritual, all-under-one-roof network, www.IntuiTalks.com.
All right, we're back. Welcome back. Quick shout-out. BB's there, and CJ, and DB, and ER, and M, and M. Just kidding. Barbara DeLong, of course, is our guest. Christy, how are you? Diane. Looks like we got Boo Boo. Oh, that's TV. Boo Boo is listening in by phone. Hello, Boo Boo. And Marie and Michael. And so, Barbara, are you back?
I'm back. Actually, every year I do. I'm hearing me again. It'll go away. I do an overview for the year, and then I do predictions for each month as we come up on them, and they're all on the website under Cosmic Forecasts. And this last year, I did predict that volcanoes would be erupting, and I was specific as to Vesuvius, which hasn't gone off, but 2 other volcanoes have gone off. Yeah. So I'm claiming that. And I had Michelle Avanti on the show last week, and I talked to her about it, and I said, what's going on? And she said, well, she said, astrologically speaking, and I'll put this out there because she threw it at me, astrologically speaking, the 25th and the 26th of this month appear to be very advantageous for the eruption of volcanoes. Oh. So I marked it on my calendar. I figured, what the heck, But I did say Vesuvius. I said volcanoes, and I was specific on Vesuvius. But then I've also been predicting for years that the New Madrid line was going to go off again, and it hasn't yet. But I'll keep predicting it. Sooner or later, I'll be right.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
You got it.
No, that's good. Yeah, that's interesting. Because Hawaii, that island is like quite a bit of lava flow, hey?
Yeah, and it's amazing. You do kind of wonder what kind of a person would build a house on the side of an active volcano.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
kind of people that build their houses right on the front of the ocean where there's hurricanes happening every year.
Well, and look at New Orleans. It's below sea level. Would you spend $400,000 or $500,000 or more on a house that was below sea level with dikes around you? I mean, come on.
If I had insurance, I guess maybe that's what I don't know.
Most of these, I would say, most of these people don't have, insurance for a volcano. Storm damage, but not lava. I mean, and there are people now in neighborhoods that are now surrounded by lava. And so, they're going to have to go in and get airlifted out if the lava does get too close. And if it gets too close and they can't get in there for them, they're going to die. I have animals I would want to get out fast. But aside from that, take everything else, because so long as I've got a life, then, I'll take my animals because they're living. But, I cannot believe that there was one man that said, well, we're so far away from the caldera and never thought about these tubes that, do some research before you build a house on the side of a volcano. I feel bad for the people that lost their homes. Don't get me wrong. But you wonder, it's just, and you see these gorgeous homes that, like you said, are right on the water. When hurricanes and high tides and things, we're at a time in history, and it's not a unique time. It's probably happened before because our patterns are cyclical, but probably not in many lifetimes, so that we don't recognize it's cyclical. But this is a time where there are storms all over the place, incredible storms. I got hit by a tornado. I mean, they don't have them where I am, but we had tons of them. They sat down all over the area of Connecticut where I am. I mean, that's unusual, and we're coming into more and more unusual weather patterns. So it behooves us to be a little more careful about where we put ourselves and our families, because I mean, you can't foresee everything, but I mean, aside of a volcano, not smart. Too close to the edge of the shore. There was a meteor hit the Atlantic Ocean. I don't know how many thousands of years ago it was, and the tsunami that it caused created a tsunami that reached all the way past the Mississippi River. So I'm not saying it's not safe to be there, but I'm saying that you just be a little more sensible about where you decide to put your roots down and create a home, because natural disasters can happen anywhere, but don't tempt fate, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, you wouldn't catch me, you know what I mean, doing that personally. I always joke, because I always go like, I'm keeping my little place here because, you know, before long it'll be,
beachfront.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're the second most western province, you know what I mean? And so,
yeah.
If it goes down, then.
Well, Jen's right where there's a great big fault. I mean, if that fault goes, you know, her island goes.
Yeah. Well, and I look at, like, the UK, and I tell my friends that I have there, like, have a boat in your backyard, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? You give yourself at least a chance, because, like, really, if you look at how small Great Britain is, land-wise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, it's small.
A tsunami the size of what hit Japan would cover them, I think. You know what I mean? Like, it would, like...
Well, it would come close, that's for sure. When I was married to my second husband, we lived on a little private island. I mean, it was very close attached. It was an island, but there was kind of a road and there was a bridge, so it was not way out in the water or anything like that. And it was a raised ranch, and off of the living room, which was on the second floor, there was a deck, and he actually installed davits, and we hung a dinghy off of it, you know, just as a joke, really, but it wasn't, you know, we hadn't been there he was a ship captain, so he was gone 6 months of the year. And we did have a nor'easter that surged at high tide at full moon, and the house was surrounded by Long Island Sound. I had 2 feet of water through the downstairs of my house, and I was underwater, and it was like, am I really going to have to crank that damn boat down so we can get out? But we had 3 cats and 3 dogs, and I had a son, and it was like, I don't really think I'm going to try to do that. Let's just wait till the tide goes down and see where we are. And Army Corps of Engineers came through, and they would not take the animals, so that John and I stayed. And we lived in the kitchen. I had a gas stove, and it heated the kitchen, and for a week, that's where we slept, and that's where we lived. It was amazing.
Jeez.
But
listen, I wanted to tell you, and I don't know if I mentioned this guy to you before, but you might want to try and get a hold of this guy for one of your shows in the future. So the guy's name is Robert Snow, and he's a former police captain, and he wrote a book on reincarnation called Portrait of a Past Life Skeptic, the true police detectives, whatever, reincarnation or whatever. I actually read the book, and I don't read. You know what I mean?
Portrait of what? Portrait of what? Portrait of.
I'll put a link in the chat room.
Okay.
In fact, never mind that. I'll copy the link address. I'll shoot it to you right in Skype.
Oh, okay, good.
Since I got you in Skype anyway, and so I'll shoot it to you there. It'll be there afterwards. And he has an interesting book. I actually read it, and he might make for an interesting because he was trying to debunk. He happened to have a past. He happened to go into a hypnosis thing. You know what I mean? Like just for I guess to say whatever. I think his wife talked him into it or something. And during this experience, and it was recorded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And visited 3 former lives, and then he thought about trying to debunk at least one of them. You know what I mean? Or he picked one because it was like an artist that wasn't famous, but that there was at least some record of. Because one of his past lives, he was like a caveman. He was like a caveman who died alone in his cave, cold and pneumonia or something like that. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
There's nothing that you can't. There's no records that he could go and check. The validity of that one on. But the one that he did, he was bound and determined to disprove it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he couldn't. And so might be an interesting interview for you to do, an interesting book for you to read. It came to me quite by accident. You know what I mean? Every now and then I would have had some publishers or whatever send me books, right?
Yeah.
Normally I tried to get them to send them to one of my readers. I had a few people that were willing, and now they're all gone on me. You know what I mean? Like Deb was one of them. Then Boat Mom, Linda, she was one, and like these people are all like, not really kicking with the show anymore and like busy with their lives. And so, but anyhow, like this book comes out of the blue. Like I hadn't talked to anybody about it or what. Like maybe the person just thought, I'll send this to this person, because maybe it was on their list or whatever. I don't know. Or it was just a mistake. And
yeah,
so
I've got the book,
You have the book.
Well, no, I found it on Amazon.
Okay, yeah. You could get it for free, I'm sure, if you contact the publisher or whatever. Tell me how to show. Because they sent it to me. Oh, who am I? I'm no Barbara DeLong.
well, listen, if any of the people that I've interviewed that have books that, I have up on YouTube, if you want any of that contact information, I'd be happy to give it to you, and I'll be happy to give you the notes that you will be able to talk to them and sound intelligent with.
Oh, thanks, Barbara. Oh, my God. So, anyway, I would listen to that show. I was gonna, a few years back, I got that book, and I was gonna try, and then I don't really want to, because I don't like to cold call people, you know what I mean? But I know you're good at that, so you go get him. Go get him and get him on your show, and I'll listen to that show. He wound up actually losing his job because it became more public that his dalliance into this book, and everything, and so the bastards kind of fired him, you know what I mean? Or had him retire early or whatever.
Well, that does happen.
That's too bad. It's too bad. He says there's a lot of police officers actually, you know what I mean, and they'll talk maybe with each other about it, but it's more than a few times that I've come across this scenario where law enforcement people, particularly investigating, deaths or murders or something like this, actually wind up having, paranormal experiences while they're there. and so that's very interesting too, you know.
There's a couple of YouTubes on him too.
Oh, on the Bob Snow, Robert Snow guy.
Yeah.
See, she's already researching it. She's just a researcher at heart, you know.
I think I am. It's kind of like I get a lot of books sent to me too, but this would be a fun one to.
Yeah, it would be an easy read. I'm sure you would read it in like an hour or something. You know what I mean?
Well, not quite that fast, but I do read, probably 2 to 3 books a week.
That's crazy. I read 2 to 3 books a decade.
Oh dear.
And that's funny because Corrine, like she kind of like, if you don't read, like she thinks bad things about you if she doesn't know you. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like some people might look at your shoes and judge you by that or something. Like Corrine's like all like people. She doesn't understand people that don't read, And I don't know how I make it onto her friend list given that I don't read. But there are some people who kind of think that people who don't read are stupid or something like this. But some of us are just a little bit like I'm too busy-minded to, like, it really has to be a book that slaps me and holds me, you know what I mean? Otherwise,
yeah. Well, this guy, though, he served for 38 years in the Indianapolis Department. And then it says he was retired in 2007 with the rank of captain. He's written 15 books.
Yeah, but he used to write books like while he was a police officer that were to do with police officer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was already an author. And so this is a book that went off of his genre, for sure. And although in some ways not so, because it was an investigative book, really. It's just that the police department didn't appreciate what was being investigated, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know how I'd get a hold of him.
Oh, just even like look at the name of the publisher on the book and they'll probably put you in touch with him. But
yeah, he's with Llewellyn.
Mm-hmm. They sent it to me out of the blue, just like out of the blue. And,
wow.
So I don't know, who the hell am I? You know what I mean? So I'm sure you could get a hold of him. He's probably got. I think he has a Facebook page.
That's where I was going to go next.
Snow. Book. Let's just say book.
Robert L. Snow.
And then to go on to Facebook. Facebook. Hello, Facebook. And I'm pretty sure I found his Facebook page once before.
Yep, he's here.
Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah, so you could shoot him a PM or something like that.
I'll send him a friend request, see what happens.
Yes. Perfect. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you. I will definitely check it out.
No problem, because that would be you'd do a good job. And I know, I think that's interesting. I think it's so interesting his experience of that one life of like basically being like a caveman.
Mm-hmm.
And but I would want to ask, because so many psychics, like, you kind of get tired of it. So many psychics are all like, oh, well, you have that problem because of a past life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It drives me freaking crazy. And so I would be asking him, like, questions like, is there anything that you found out about the life of this guy that you feel has carried over into something, some obsession or some, weakness or strength even, you know what I mean, have in this lifetime. And I would be interested to know that. But there you go, like a true skeptic who, couldn't help but prove his own in the attempt of disproving past lives. He, winds up proving basically that he did. And just a lot of the information that he got, like, this guy wasn't famous enough, you know what I mean, to stuff to have just been, you know what I mean, out there in the public view. And
yeah,
something that he would have picked up, along the way, and then just, made it up in the state of hypnosis. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't do that. It's really amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, no, I think this would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I will let you know if it happens, and go from there.
Very, very cool. And some of the people here, like Michael might not know, Barbara was quite sought after, by people for past life readings, and things like that. And so,
yeah, well, I wouldn't say that, but,
Well, it was, one of besides the letter rip, it was one of the probably most requested. Like, he used to do quite a lot, and same with on my show anyway.
Yeah. No, you're right. I did hundreds, probably thousands of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would be fun to do a once a year special, and do either the letter rip or the past lives, and
we did near the end of the year, like a letter rip, which give people their upcoming year would make more sense than. But at one time, I wanna challenge you to, because we talked just briefly about it before, but I want to challenge you to do alternate lives. It doesn't have to necessarily be a past life. I want to see some future lives. Huh?
Well, that's kind of tough, because actually when we reincarnate, we take all that we've learned from the past life, and that becomes a foundation for the next life. So it's kind of hard to do that because you're not done.
The premise of it is that there is no such thing as time. There is no past, present. It's all happening now.
Mm-hmm.
One of your lifetimes is happening now in some other dimension.
Well, yeah, that is a theory. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that it all happens at once.
So test it. Challenge your guides and your connection to the freaking universe and see what happens.
Well, we could do that. I see no reason why not. Could be also that a future life for you would be your green blob in another dimension.
No, I totally expect that all of us were, because I feel that at some point, unless there's absolutely the whole freaking earth, like, were to implode now without a single human being off Earth, if you know what I mean, that would essentially end the human existence. Then, I fully believe that, we will be leaving Earth, and having an ability to relocate. And as that starts to happen, then changes will happen to those people and their future generations. Changes that are as a result of adapting to a new environment. You know what I mean?
Well, there are in the galaxy there are thousands of humanoid life forms. They say they may have adapted to their environment, by having more fingers, less fingers, longer arms, shorter arms, webbed feet, not webbed feet, but they're all humanoid, and it is quite amazing. So yeah, that would be interesting. Although knowing something like that in this life, that is the possibility that's where you're going the future lifetime. What good does that do you? I mean, past lives make sense to me because there are aspects and qualities that from past lives that we bring into this lifetime that can help us to facilitate having a richer life because of the talents and gifts that we bring with us. So that makes sense to me. It explains sometimes gifts that we utilize, but I mean, I don't see a point other than curiosity.
No, I agree.
How would you use the information?
Who knows? Like, you don't know until you have it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to say.
I mean, what if you know that in the next lifetime, because your spirit needs to experience certain things, you become a mass murderer?
Then I would want to die quickly, because how exciting would that be?
or a ruler of a country, it could go both ways. But yeah, I'm not sure that that's as healthy as the past life stuff that gives you information on where gifts came from, and you can go back and research those time frames, and I'm not sure it's really healthy to do future lifetime. I think I'll leave that to one of your other psychics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. How healthy is even living in the society that we have to live in right now, Barbara? You know what I mean, psychologically? How healthy is any of it? How healthy is existing?
We truly create our environment. We create our reality by our perception of it. The power of the mind is just, it's incredible. And you can do amazing things with your thoughts, and you can create either a better life or a worser life, depending on how you are viewing the reality as it is now. So, I do believe that we have full control over this stuff. It's not easy. It doesn't happen overnight, but it is something that if you are really, really into not only picturing and creating in your mind's eye, so to speak, the life that you want to have, but if you work towards it as well, just thinking it won't make it happen. That it doesn't work that way. You have to work towards it as well. But determination and blood, sweat, and tears does get you to where you want to be if you're willing to work for it. So, and it's kind of, these people that say, well, I'm going to die and go to a better life. Not necessarily. Why don't you fix the one you got?
No, and again, with my thinking is that, if it's all happening at the same time anyways, you know what I mean? Then I'm not so certain that there's anything that I could do that would change anything. And if I were to find out anything in this lifetime about another lifetime that's not a past life, then I've written that into my blueprint anyway, and I fully expected to get that information. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I believe. And everything that any big thing that happens in my life, I feel has been part of
the contract,
part of the plan. Yeah. And, so I don't really know if it would. We all knew what we were coming to, and yet here we still are. But it shows you how good our higher selves are, because our higher selves are the ones making those serious decisions for us. Because if it's our lower selves, not in your life would I be here right now. Not in your life, you know what I mean? And so the higher self, all of us, I think, deserve, purple hearts of the spiritual purple hearts for coming now. And
well, spirit is, of course, etheric. It has no form, it has no density. So just coming down into human form is is bravery, because of course in human form, in physical, you don't have access to all of your talents and gifts and skills, because you can't literally teleport to different places, because you are you are in a dense avatar, so that you are restricted by the human form while your time here is served. So it is in a way a sacrifice of the freedom that you have when you are totally in spirit form. But it's the only place, it's the only level, it's the only level of evolution and level of planetary whatever, that this is the only, being in human form, being in a material form is just one of the different levels of spiritual evolution, and being in material form is not easy. But here we are.
No, I think that we're here too, because if you think about it, now, okay, I was born in 65, the end of 65, but we've gone through radical change in a relatively short period of time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's pretty, and yet, if there's still, for anybody who's 50-ish, who might still have 40 years or something left, God bless them. I sure hope it's not me. But how much more is still yet to come? You know what I mean?
It's going to be really quite a ride, to be honest with you.
It's, really, what year did they create did they invent, or were they able to fly? You know what I mean? And we're already into space, and we're probably in my lifetime going to be able to, get to another planet. We already are, but I mean, to put people there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. To colonize, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even just to visit in the first place, but, to go and sort it out. Because, they've got the rover and everything up Mars and whatnot, but, so, and that's a radical, from horse and buggy to, of course, I mean, I wasn't that old, but I mean, but within this 150-year period of time, what a radical shift in progress. I mean, yeah, it's progress, but in some ways,
it's technology. For Mother's Day, my daughter-in-law son sent me this thing where I get sent a question to answer every week, and they take my answers and they put it in a book for them, and it basically is questions about my childhood and stuff like that, and what I remember of my grandparents, and it's very interesting, and I can remember back to the first television. My father brought it home, and the screen wasn't much bigger than the tablet on a tablet. And I can remember it was only on certain time frames during the day. There was this signal pattern that was there other time frames. And there was Howdy Doody and Clarabelle, Captain Video and the Video Rangers. There were some cartoons. There was news, but and then come forward, 10, 15 years, there was Ed Sullivan and I Love Lucy and some of those shows. And then I remember when the color TVs came in, but, it was, in my mind, it wasn't a good thing, because the last question they sent me was what were my favorite toys as a child. And I mean, we weren't rich, but we weren't poor. And, I'm sure we had toys, but what my sister and I basically did was use our imaginations and, create wonderful scenarios that we played in and we acted out. I mean, there weren't the Matchbox toys. There weren't, no Barbie dolls, no play school stuff, no, there were Lincoln Logs and there were things like that, but I honestly, I guess my favorite toy was my sister because she was my companion and I did things with her.
And even in my, not when we were kids, like we would be out all day long until we had to go in at night, and we were doing all kinds of active things, you know what I mean? And we were creating new games to play, coming up with little, all crazy stuff. And so,
my mother used to tell us in the summertime, come back when the street lights go on.
Yeah.
She had no worry that we would be kidnapped or violated or anything like that. Yeah. We were, and my grandchildren today are so structured, are so, they are taken and there's always an adult present. They do not have the freedom that I had as a child. We lived in Minnesota. There was a huge woods that went we lived on top of this huge hill and when it overlooked St. Paul and Minneapolis, and the woods behind our house went all the way down to the Mississippi, and we played pirates. We were in those woods like crazy. I mean, it never occurred to me that it was dangerous. Probably was. But we had a freedom that kids today don't have. And it's just amazing. It's when you stop to think about it. I mean, in a way, doing all these things for this book that who knows who will read. It's in a way, it's a little sad because it's a kind of life that no longer exists. Mm-hmm. The kids don't have that freedom. The kids aren't set loose to use their imaginations. They're sat down in front of a TV. My grandson, the very first, months of his life, he was sat in front of a TV for Baby Mozart or whatever it was, this thing where they played the music and stuff like that, and he was programmed to watch television before he was programmed to talk. Yeah. I mean, it blows my mind, and with Thomas, especially my grandson, he wasn't talking right away. So Carol taught him how to sign. And then she got really upset because he was signing and not talking. And I said, well, I can cure that. And she said, how are you going to cure it? He's not talking. And I said, he can talk. And she said, no, he can't. And now this is, they know it all, right? And I said, look, if you'll give me like an hour, I can get him to talk.
Yeah.
I said, you just keep quiet and you sit back there and you sit on your hands and you don't say a thing to me. And she said, okay. And so, and I said, you don't talk to him either. Right. And so he started to sign he wanted water. And Carol said he wants water. And I said, shush. Yeah. And I looked at him and I said, Thomas, what do you want? And he made the sign again. And I said, I don't know what you want. You're going to have to tell me. And I went to the sink and I got a glass of water and I drank it. And so he's now signing to me, frustrated and just crazy as they come. And I said, Thomas, I want to help you. I love you to pieces, but I don't know what you're saying. So I don't know what you want. And then I got a glass of juice and I drank that. And he just kept looking at me, making this stupid sign. And I said to him, what? I don't know what to do. And he said, I want a drink of water. Please give me a drink of water. And Carol looked at him, and it wasn't a word. It was sentences. And I said to her, he didn't need to talk, so why would he?
Right. Exactly right. No, and that's right. And that's, if you make it, it's like, I don't know, you gotta let kids see, and that's part of it, right? Is I think in the generations that came a little bit after me, is like don't keep doing everything for the kids,
Yeah.
Get hurt, let them struggle with it. That's how they get it done, and so it's like, don't make it too easy for them, because then there's no, like, you always got it. How does that saying go? Like, you'll always, like, the higher the bar is set, the more you'll achieve.
Exactly. Or don't set a bar and let them go as far as they can.
Right. Yeah, or don't have a bar at all.
Yeah.
Sure. You definitely allow somebody to malinger, for lack of a better way to put that. Catering to that. Yeah, you're absolutely. That's exactly what I would have done. For sure.
Well, it's not that, I think every generation thinks the previous generation doesn't know anything. And I think when Thomas was very little, she couldn't get him to drink, in the bottle, and it was taking forever, and she thought was something the matter with him. And I said, there's nothing the matter with him. And, I took him and he drank the whole bottle. And she said, how did you do that? And I said, he was collapsing the nipple. And I said, he's starving. And she said, well, I said, he's not getting enough, Carol. And she said, well, how do we do that? And I said, now, this is a lawyer, right? And my son is a lawyer. Both of them are lawyers. I said, well, I can fix it. Do you have a needle and a match? And I said, I'm not going to stick him with it. I said, I'm just going to make the hole in the nipple bigger. She said, is that legal? And I said, yes. New parents. They're so cute.
So hilarious.
Yeah.
I could see that. I mean, though, I think that kind of parenting, though, is what, makes for great children, Look how your children were.
Yeah, I mean, my son is he's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with him, and he had to, he was an only child, so we played and we talked, and he was reading before everybody else was reading, because we played word games and sound games and things like that. And today's parents don't do that. And today daycare centers have to, it's like they're preparing kids for college already. It's obscene. Mm-hmm. But I digress, because I don't think the educational system is worth a damn anymore. I think everybody should homeschool their kids.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that. Like, they're not teaching, they're teaching obedience is what they're teaching children. They're setting children up to be slaves, really.
They're programming them. They're learning to repeat what they're told. They're not learning to think. Our kids are not learning to think anymore. And that horrifies me.
Yeah. For sure. Because a dangerous person is a thinking person.
Exactly.
A threat to authority is a thinking person.
Yeah. I think we may be a dying breed. Well, seriously.
I know, and that's really, really, really tragic. It's like if you think about it, like, I don't know how much, because with, like, I think they need to have laws about, like, kids being with their freaking, like, phones, you know what I mean?
Oh, geez, like, yeah.
Like, I used to say, like, people are gonna, how long for man to start standing upright, right? Mm-hmm. And, like, babies are gonna start coming out, with their necks already bent like this, because, it's gonna be, like,
or they're going to evolve so that you could put a flash drive into their neck and download them with information. I mean, it's just, no, it scares me. It really does. They can hit the little microphone and ask a question and it answers them. What happened to researching and learning? I mean, and growing and reading. I mean, books are now antiques, and frankly, I would rather read on a Kindle than have the actual book because it's easier for me to carry around and read wherever I want. But it really is, it's phenomenal what's happening.
Within a household, people don't, like, I used to always say, like, when I worked at the college even, it's like I always would get up and go, like, even if it was across the campus. I would go and see people, that I needed to get, stuff, because you can't lose that, that impersonal interaction, you know what I mean, that you get from an in-person visit. And, but people sitting in cubicles next to each other are like emailing each other instead of.
Oh, yeah. And
there are people in the house, are like texting each other instead of like, go downstairs and talk to your mother. Don't text her when supper.
I have friends that, I don't like doing the typing. I'd rather talk. Mm-hmm. And so I have friends that I have tried, called, 2 or 3 times and always got the voicemail and left messages and stuff like that. And I had 2 of them actually just recently. I called 4 or 5 times and I finally just sent a text message and got an immediate answer. So they were where their phone was ringing, and they chose not to talk, but to just, send 1 or 2 little words, not spelled correctly even, in answer to it. And it was like, holy mackerel, they are creating, a cone of silence around them so that they don't have to actually even communicate with anybody. They can just type it in. And, when trees went down and all that crap, I didn't have internet and I didn't have telephone. And,
well, people are going to lose like human beings will lose their voice, if they keep, you know what I mean? Not using it. Use
mm-hmm.
it, right?
Absolutely.
And so, I don't, it's bad because, just get up and walk over there. It's not, it's better for you physically. And secondly, for interpersonal, you know what I mean? Just for like relationships. Like you cannot, that's the worst thing I think that's come is this, like I'm not a texter. I don't text.
Well, I don't do it well.
Or like text me, I'm like, I don't even have a text package, so I'm not going to text. And, the closer I'll come is I instant message someone or I'll email somebody, but I'm not texting. Not now or ever will I text. I don't see myself, doing it. Now, it could be that if I get back into a work, thing and I wind up needing to do that because that's whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then I can't see myself using that as a method of communicating with friends,
Yeah.
I'd rather pick up the phone and say, hey, let's go have coffee and meet, let's talk.
I am 100% with you on that. It just, and even with Skype, I don't, there are people that just don't want to talk. They would rather just type, and that's so impersonal. So, doesn't always happen, but, such is life. We'll see how she goes.
Indeed. So tell again, tomorrow you have,
Ernie Bringus, the guy, the ripcord guy. And the Jesus Gate guy.
The Jesus Gate guy. That'll be good. And www.barbaradelong.com.
Yeah, you can get on my YouTube channel from there. You can there are links right on. I changed my website so all of the buttons are right there, right on the front page. You don't have to think any. All you have to do is click.
There you go. User friendly.
It's very user friendly, yes.
And so that's awesome. So we will have you back in a month's time. I guess that will be what will the date be then?
July something.
Yeah, is it going to be the 4th or is it going to be
I'll tell you in just a second. I just happen to have my calendar up. It will be, it'll be the 4th of July.
There you go. Are you going to be available, or are you going to be off doing July 4th stuff, or?
Oh, no, I'll be here.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I guess you'll, as I said to, I think it was Diana Monroe. She's going to be here on Canada Day, July 1st. And so I said to her, well, you're going to have to listen to some corny Canadian, corny Canadian stuff. And so you'll have to listen to the usual American tribute songs that we're supposed to play on.
Well, so long as nobody has to stand or take a knee to the national anthem, I'm fine.
Either way, do whatever you want to do with the national anthem, people. But anyway, so that's good. Anything else you want to let people know?
No, actually, I did sort of want to talk to you about sort of hijacking your show at one time for something.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to do a 2-hour show on teaching people how to use the cards.
Oh yeah.
And I want to be able to put up graphics of the different spreads and explain to people, first of all, how the cards were developed and what the different, areas are and how to lay them out and how I do the letter rip and where the different houses are and stuff like that. And, I would have graphics that would needed to be shown, and I can't do that on my show.
Yeah, easily done. You just let me know. And I don't want to do it in the next 5 days because I committed to Jenny that I won't do anything because she's pushing some code.
Mm-hmm.
Doing some of that kind of stuff, and so
well, I'll get the pictures ready and I'll take them and I'll send them to you, labeled picture 1, picture 2, picture 3, picture 4.
The easier way is if you know how to throw them all into a PowerPoint presentation. That would be optimal.
I've never done that. I could certainly do it though. I'd certainly give it a shot.
Well, okay, if you run into, it's so simple because you don't have to do anything fancy. You just have to put them in whatever order you want them in. Boom, boom, drag and drop the picture in, and boom, boom, boom. But if you have trouble with it, then certainly let me know, and I will, I'll put that. But for here, it'll be so much easier for you because you'll scroll through and you don't have to find, because here, if we put individual pictures up, then they shuffle around as you put a new one up. They don't retain their order, you know what I mean? And so.
Oh, okay.
So if we get it into a PowerPoint, you just have to click the right arrow and it just goes to the next one and to the next one in your own good time. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, I'll talk to you, beforehand, and I just I kind of want to do that. Because people, not you, of course, but there are other people out there that have been using the cards, but they don't understand, first of all, why they were developed, how they were developed, and how to actually use them. I mean, they're using them in a very superficial way, but there's so much information that they would have access to if they just talk to me or listen to me. So I figured, if I could sort of hijack your show so I could put graphics up and talk about it all, then I could slam it onto YouTube and say, here, for God's sakes, here's how you really use it.
Absolutely. That would be no problem at all. And we could do that even, during the daytime or something like that. So it wouldn't even have to necessarily be on a day when I don't have a show. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, let me first of all get my pictures together, and then we'll see where we go after that.
Yeah, like if you need to, then I'll throw the PowerPoint together. You know what I mean? and I just need explicit instructions and what we're
Okay, well, let me just, play with it, and, in the next month or so, let's do that, because that would be so much easier for me to, hijack your show rather than try to figure out how to do it with mine or, live on Facebook or any of that crap.
Right. No, that's the beauty of the IntuiTalks site is, the virtual classroom ability, and so that's perfect. Good. We can do that, and I'd be happy to do that whenever you're ready. So yeah, just shoot the stuff to me that you need me to do, and we'll find a time that's good for both of us.
Okay, sounds great.
Awesome. So we will see you. On the show, we'll see you in a month's time, and so stay cool in the heat of summer as it arrives, and we'll see you in July then.
Absolutely, Chris.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Okay, everybody, we're going to just get out of here then, and there's nobody really around. I guess Corinne's on her way to her little vacation getaway, and I don't know who else she's meeting with, but hopefully she hooks up with some people. And so now we're off for 5 days. I don't know what you guys are going to do. I could do a show at Corinne's in her absence, but let me see. I might be able to talk her into, if she's with somebody that has a laptop, maybe we can talk them into doing some kind of a fun show at Corinne's place. So just keep your eye on my Facebook. If anything develops, I'll be posting it there. Otherwise, we're back again with Melissa Bruce next Tuesday. And so everybody chill, take it easy. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you the next time. Take care, folks. Peace out.